That was last.
We find out about the Thursday night.
Well, I heard it.
Okay. Gentlemen, I'm going to start the learning sponsors and then we'll get into the shiur. Yeah.
I guess if you can say Avinu Malkeinu, you can do that.
Yeah. A year of learning, Bella and David Adler, in memory of her father, Eliyahu ben Yosef Cohen. Those who were inspired by our Rebbetzin Emerita, Sheila Shapiro, Sarah Esther Malka Bat Meshulam Yisachar, Gail and Leslie Kaplan, in memory of their parents, Mushka Shpitzer Bat Yosef Chaim Bachava, Chanan ben Moshe Eliezer Vachana, Pesha Bat Shmuel Yitzchak Alevi Vitzipora, Isa ben Yisrael Moshe Cohen Vachana. They're Rexford Friends of Gladys Sherman, Gutta Bat Meir, Michael Klein and Friends of Judah Klein, Yehuda Tzvi, Ben Chaim, Marsha Bronner, who's in the hospital, by the way. Okay, now, in memory of her husband, Harav Yerachmiel Ben Shmuel, we wish her a shlema. Friends and family of Arthur Ritholtz, Mordechai Yudel Ben Baruch Leib HaKohen, friends and family of Siggy Bessler, Shalom Shraga Ben Dov, friends of Marvin Weinstein, Mordechai Ozer Ben Yisrael Aharon, Sarah Alpert, in memory of her husband, Harav Tzvi Lipa Ben Hillel. A month of learning by Andrea and David Dolney, in memory of her mother, the 20th Yortzeit, Edel Tzina Bat Shimshon, Josh and Carol Sanborn, in memory of his father, Shmuel Aryeh Ben Baruch, and his mother, Chiana Bat Aryeh Leib, Sharon and Jerry Glassman, in memory of her father, Eliezer Ben Nissen Halevi, David and Hannah Grunblatt, in memory of his mother, Esther Yocheved Bat Moshe, Ira Grubard, in memory of his mother, Rosa Bat Yitzchak, Meir and Sarah Breben, Michael and Golda Breben, in memory of Meir and Michael's father, Asher Zelig Ben Moshe, and their mother, Bela Bat Elimelech, Sid Paris, in memory of his mother, Chaim Aaron Ben HaKohen, and his mother, Judith Bat Tzvi. A week of learning by Brenda and Ed Parver, Sandra and Marty Levine. Excuse me, in memory of Brenda and Sandra's parents, Chayil Hudel Bat Yaakov Leib and Betzal Ben Avram Yehuda. Phyllis and Jeffrey Solomon, in memory of her father, Menachem Mendel Ben Meir, Gail and Phil White, and for 10th Yortzeit of her mother, Frida Bat Moshe Yaakov HaKohen. And today we have a day of learning by Rabbi Dr. Moshe Kranzler, in memory of Esther Riva Bat Betzalel, as well as the family of Esther Sherpatovsky, in memory of the mother, grandmother, and great-grandmother, Esther Riva Bat Betzalel. And Shabbos have an aliyah, crank Rafia Velti Shir Shemat Leichel Ben Israel, good Gabench.
We're at the very bottom of the days, 2 lines to the bottom of the mission. Now we learned what we have to announce that we can keep. Now we're going to learn what we have to proclaim. Why is that? Because they have a simon and they didn't give up hope. Hashem didn't take it away from the guy; he gave it to you. So he says, Hashem didn't give it to you; he left it to the guy. These are things that a person is obligated to proclaim. Lots of payros quickly. If he found produce inside of a utensil, and a normal utensil has a mark on it that can be identified. Okli kamoshu, or you just found the utensil itself. Most bekis, he found money in a purse. Okay, okis kamoshu, or purse as it is. Tziburi payros, piles of money. Or tzibur mos, or piles of piles of produce, or piles of money. Shloshim abeozel gavzel, 3 coins, one on top of another. Krichos, or we have bundles of grain in the private domain, and we had an argument that's either because there's a sign on it, a sign on it, according to, or because its place is going to be a sign. Okay, the kikar shabalabai. It's also bread, loaves of bread of a householder. Each one makes it differently. There's a sign on it. The gizetzema lakuchan beis and fleeces of wool that are taken from the house of the craftsman. Why are they identifiable? So there are 2 ways. One is that the craftsman does each one according to the order. So the way it was ordered is itself a sign, or that the craftsman puts marks on each one who it belongs to. Furthermore, okay, We learned this earlier. We said if you have barrels of wine and oil, so the mark, the ones that have the stamp on it, the closure, and that's also a sign. All these things the person has to proclaim because they have the mark and the person didn't give up hope on them. Simon wants to pay with the most because Smart says, listen, you see the way that the Mishnah learned it. The reason why you have to announce it is because the produce was in the utensil and the money was in the purse. I hold the implication being clear the fun affair. So you found a utensil, but the produce was in front of it, not in the utensil. Or keys of the fun of most, or you found a purse, but the money is in front of it and not inside of it. So then, even though you're going to have to announce the purse, or you're going to have to announce the utensil, but you're allowed to keep the produce, you're allowed to keep the money that's standing in front of it. Tanina law, and this would justify the brisa that we learned, and we can authenticate this brisa where we learned matzah kli with the fun of Paris. So the brisa says you found the utensil, and there was produce in front of it. Keys the fun of Moses. He found the purse, and there was money in front of it. So the produce or the money belongs to him. What part of the money or the produce was in the utensil and part was in front? Okay. They're saying part of it was in the purse and part of it in front. Then the person has to proclaim them. We're assuming that the stuff in front is connected with the stuff inside. Reminu, so Gemara says, listen, I have really a contradictory brisa to what we learned. We learned matzah davar shein bo siman, b'tzad davar sheish bo siman. If you found something that doesn't have an identifying mark next to a thing that does, he has to proclaim everything. And it sounds what, and really what, and really what, the person who gives the sign of the thing that's next to the thing doesn't have a sign, it has the rights to the thing that doesn't have a sign. And only only if it so happens that the guy who gave a sign on the container said that only the container is his and the produce is not, or whatever else, the unsigned thing next to it is not. So then the finder is allowed to keep it. He's allowed to keep that the thing that is not a simon. But you see clearly what? Even if you have a thing with a sign and one with no sign, as long as they're found together, if the guy gives a sign on the thing that has a sign, he gets it. And yet our Mishnah said the opposite. Our Mishnah said that we said that if he finds the utensil and the money's in front of it, in front of the purse or in front of the utensil, that he keeps it. Here we said no. We said the owner of the utensil gets it. So now we're going to have a list of ways to reconcile these two teachings. And they're not the same. Okay, where he says no, there's not a contradiction that we cannot solve. He says when the Mishnah said what, that the stuff in front belongs to the finder, you're talking about let's say a barrel that is full of flax. So flax is something that by definition doesn't slip out completely from its container. If it really ever was in the container, it would stay in there also. Part of it would stay in there. So since it's completely out, we assume it's separate. But the brisa that says what? That we assume that the stuff in front belongs also to the utensil. But sana uperi, it's talking about one. It's talking about a utensil with produce, and there it's normal for all the produce to slip out. That was one answer. Rav Papa Amar, he says haba haba tzaddik. He says Rav Papa says no. Both of them are talking about even what a regular utensil, a container with produce. So the 1 second, if it's likely to slip out, so why does the brisa hold that it really belongs to the owner of the utensil? The lokasha. He says, I'll tell you why, because it's clear, because that's what we learned. He says, when is it that it belongs? When the brisa said it really belongs to the owner of the utensil, because there's still some of the produce left. When there's no produce left, that's like our Mishnah, and it belongs to the finder. by same. Alternatively, another possibility is no. Both cases are where all the produce or all the money is out of the container. Below kasha, it's not a contradiction. One is where the utensil is facing the produce that slipped out, okay, that's on the ground, and therefore we say what it's connected to it. When we say that it belongs to the finder, it's because the mouth of the utensil is not facing the produce or the money. By saying another possibility, it could be both of them, where the containers are facing, let's say, the produce that's on the ground. Low kasha, still not a kasha. Oh, when we said that it belongs to the finder, the Isla Ognin Litzana, it's when there's a rim. So if there's a rim, you know why it belongs to the finder? Because if it had really come from the utensil, some of it would have been stuck in because the rim would have held some back. You see, would have got it. And even by a purse, so there's a rim, like there's a string in the purse which acts like a rim to hold the money in. And hard less the organ. This was, but there's no rim. Litzana, there was no rim on the container, or no rim on the wallet, and that's why it belongs to the five. Okay, see, okay, Tziburi Paris or Tziburi Paris. That's why it belongs to the loser. Tziburi Paris is Tziburi Mars. Now we said that. Now this we always have a problem like this. Whenever we have a plural, we don't know if it's particular plural or general plural. What I mean to say, if I say to you, you can keep piles of grain defined. Do I mean that you found more than one pile of grain? Or do I mean in general in the world when piles of grain are found? One guy finds it here, one guy finds it there. I'm just talking about the general instance. So the plural could be general. It really means an instance of finding a pile. It's called piles of grain. Okay, we have piles of grain, but we really don't mean that the person found piles. Every person found one, or no, I mean specifically you found piles of grain. So the language is confusing. So tziburi peres or tziburi maris, when I find piles of produce or piles of money, we said you have to announce it. We don't know what is it that he found, but okay. So the Gemara says, so to now we assume what the first we met when you found piles of grain, he literally found several piles of grain, or he found several piles of money. Shmas minof me here. Remember earlier we had a machlokas. He said we had a machlokas whether number was an identifying mark. Shema minof minyan havisimon. It must be, since it's piles, must be what the way that he identifies it is what by saying it was 3 piles. There's 2 piles. Tani, okay, Tziburi Paris says no, that you can't prove it. We said what? You mean to say what? He found a tzibur Paris. It really means he found a pile of produce. Who knows what? It just said piles, meaning what? In different instances, but each person found one. Shmas me. 1 second. That if you say it's singular, then it proves a different debate we had whether place is a sign or not, is an identifying mark. So you see what? That it proves that place is an identifying mark, like Rava. Tani tzibur Paris says no, but it says pile. So the answer is what? You can't prove either point here. Here we're stuck. We can't use this Mishnah to prove either point. We have 2 debates, whether place is an identifying mark or whether number is, and you can't do it because if I tell you number is an identifying mark, then I say really what, that the number was general but not particular. It's really only one pile. And if you say place, I tell you no, the number was specific. He found piles, so I can't prove either point. Okay. We said if you find 3 coins, one on top of another, there's a beautiful, beautiful piece. Okay, now so there's an argument about this, but Rav Matzchius, you have, he writes in your first volume of Brachos, you have the introduction to the Talmud by the Matzchias. He was a genius's genius, right? Just to give you an idea of how great the level of scholarship was, and in Europe in the 1800s, the Matzchias wanted to fly after the Nod Yehuda passed away. Nod Yehuda was a giant. He was the giant of giants. So he was the rabbi of Prague. So when he died, they had a search committee for a rabbi of Prague. So who applied? Who applied? One of the people, the Matzchias applied. And the Matzchias was a giant. They automatically rejected him outright. They wouldn't see him. Why? Even though everybody knew he was great, they said they want somebody not who's a great rabbi. They want a great rabbi, the son of a great rabbi. They want somebody who was already on the lap of a great rabbi growing up, and that rabbi they want. They want a great rabbi, son of a great rabbi. To show you what a buyer's market it was in those years, they had so many great people. They said, no. We don't care if you're outstanding. We want outstanding, who born from an outstanding, who grew up with an outstanding rabbi as a kid. And they didn't take him. They rejected him. The guy was a giant. And anyway, so the Maratz Chaim says like this. He says, you see here, you notice his name is Rabbi Yitzchak Migdalah. And then he explains it. So when the 3 coins one on the other, it has to be like a tower. A tower tapers from the bottom to the top. So it has to be the biggest coin, then the next smallest, and the next smallest. So they say that why was he called Migdalah? Because this was his famous speech. You know, he had one famous speech. This it. Other rabbis say no, other people say no, because we see him someplace else. But that's where he says he got the name because of this halacha. He says this halacha that you find 3 coins. How does it work? The 3 coins is only obligated to announce because it's made in the way that's clearly identifiable that it's the bigger coin, then the smaller, and then the smaller in descending order. And we learn like this. We learn if he found scattered money, it's his. Asuyin Migdalim, we learned in a brisa, Kayav Lachlis, but if it's made like a tower, that's when the guy has to announce it. The Eloyan Asuyin Migdalim, what is that? It has to be one. It has to be 3 coins, one on top of the other, that are not all of the same size. Now the Gemara has a problem. We have a contradiction, and again, this is always a problem of a contradictory. Okay, Paul Gufakash, we have a contradiction. Okay, in the Bryce. Amarta, you told me first, if you find scattered money, it belongs to you. So scattered, the indication scattered is what? They're not touching each other. All the coins are separate. Okay, so therefore, what if they're leaning one another? Let's say part of a coin's on the ground, and the other coin, in such a case, since you only said what you're allowed to keep ones that are utterly scattered, they're not touching each other, then one where one is leaning upon another, you have to announce it. I aim a say for what I do, but I have an opposite inference from the second part. Assuming you told me what when it's made like a tower in descending order, that's when you have to announce it. Okay, but if they're only leaning on other, what? You're allowed to keep it. So we have a contradictory middle from the two inferences. So the Gemara says what? I says what, and this is we've given this before. When we see that, we can often say, I tell you that when a Tana makes a contradictory middle, what you say is that he's excluding a category that logically is a middle category, but legally is not. This is very important. So the Tana purposely makes a contradiction in order to tell you that even though it looks like you think there should be 3 categories, by purposely making a contradictory middle, the Tana is telling that there are only 2 categories. It's either black or white. There's no gray. Because you think I said white but gray. I said white no, gray yes, and then I said black no, but what gray yes? No, I'm telling you, there's only black or white. There's no gray here. So he said what? He says Tana kol shein kol shein. That's what he's telling. By definition, anything that's not a tower, mafuzar skrile, that's already called scattered. So scattered, if it's not neatly piled one upon the other, even if they're leaning one on the other, it's the equivalent to what's scattered. It's only black or white. There's either scattered or what? Or a tower. Yeah, or a tower. But leaning is the same as
towered originally, someone knocked them over.
Too late. We can't do it. Arthur Conan Doyle, the famous author of Sherlock Holmes, so he said the following. He said many intelligent people, if you show them a number of components and ask them what's going to happen when you put them together, they can tell you. But if you bring a person to a place and show them the result of something and say what brought it about, he said that's much harder. That's a different. So we can't really. You'll see we can't unless we have really. You have to have a great proof. You're saying generally to look at a result and decide what the cause was. That's why I told you I don't have a lot of respect for anthropologists. So it's another time we can discuss. I don't think it's a science. Okay, we have to talk about it. That's correct. That's coming up. These are not these are not the same size. They're descending order, right? Now he says this law that we said that you find 3 coins has to be three different kings. In other words, the stamp on each one is different. Every king puts his own picture on there. If they're what? He says if they're all one stamp, you don't have to announce it. What are you talking about? What does that mean? Who cares what the picture's on it? What's the case? Either can be done. If they're descending sizes, he says, what's the difference? Even if it's all one stamp, since they're descending order, you have a good sign. If they're not descending size, I feel then if they're all the same size, who cares if they're all different pictures? It still doesn't make any sense. They're the same size. It's not a sign. Okay. I said, no, this is what he meant to say. This is what Bechania said. Lo shanu ela shel melech echad. He says, when is it that what they have to announce it? He says, even one king, Kain Shloshim Malachim. And look, there's one king like 3 kings. What do you mean? What's what? One king like 3 kings, even though they're all the same picture, but they're descending sizes. So then you have to announce it. What's the case? That means what? That they're made like a tower. Okay. Now, Rivcha Tato or Mitzia Love, it has to be what? That the widest one is on the bottom. Mitzia Anchinu. And the bottom one is the widest one, and therefore what? Mitzia I love it, and the middle one's on top of that. Bazuti love Mitzia, and the smallest one's on top of the middle one. We say that the person put it down. They didn't fall that way. My guy must have put it there. Okay, and he put it there, and therefore what? So he put it there purposely. He didn't give up hope. He didn't lose them. If they're one king, okay, the kuli we mean what? Meaning to say what? That they're all the same size. Alpha gaf the manche adadi. Even as what you said, even though they're placed one upon the other, they still belong to the finder. Why? Am I assuming you told me about how they enough? It's quite possible they fell anyway. They fell that way. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, he says no. I feel shemalach echad. Okay, no. He says even if it's one king and knows what they're all the same size. He says you do have to. He says because we do say it's quite possible that they fell that way. My machris, but we say that he didn't fall that way, and the guy put it the other way. It's an argument. Whether we should make the assumption that they fell or not in such a case. My machris. Okay, now we have a problem when he's going to announce these coins one on the other. What is it that he announces? Remember, he has to announce one thing, then the guy has to give him a sign. Minyan, does he announce the number? He says, what? I found 3 coins, and then he says, what? And then the guy's going to tell him, no, and my sign is what? That they're one on top of the other? What did he announce? I found 3 coins. Yeah, and they're one on top of the other. My ear is lesser, then why did it have to be 3? I feel a train that even train Nami. If all you announce is what I found 2 coins, 3 coins, what's the difference? The guy said one on top of the other. See, it's a sign. Who cares if it's 3 or 2? Ravina says, I'll tell you what. Tiba Machi says, that's not what he and that says, I found coins, okay. And the guy actually, the only way that it's a good sign is to tell 2 things. Yes, and that's the only way it's a good sign. He has to give the number and they're on top of the other. He has to give both, and that's why it has to be. But Rabbi Yirmiyah has this question. Let's say he found. Now I have to tell you, Rabbi, I really am not sure this first one. All the other ones, you'll see in a minute why. I'm going to read it, but I'll tell you what. I honestly don't know, and I leave it to you. Rabbi Yirmiyah, he has the following questions. If I find the 3 coins, kashir, in a circle, like a bracelet, Mao, what's the law? Is that the equivalent to one on top of the other? Is also a sign? Kashura Mahu. What if they're in a triangle? Kachatsuba. Okay, what if they're okay? Mao. Kashura is no. Kashura is a triangle. The chatsuba is what is like a tripod. No. Kashura, no. Kashura is a triangle. Katsuba is like a tripod. Mahu. Okay, what is it? Katsuba is a tripod, and Katsuba is a triangle. Mahu. Okay, what's the law? He says. No, pardon me. I'm sorry. You're right. What you said. Here, he found it in a circle. Okay, like a bracelet, or he found them one next to the other. Kashura. I'm sorry, in a line. Or like a triangle, like a tripod, right? So, Mao, what's the law? The answer is what? So he says, Kasulam. What if he finds it, like, for example, like a ladder, like it's one upon the other, going up like steps? So Mao, he says, what's the law? So the Gemara is going to solve one, but I just tell you what I don't understand. I don't know how you can get 3 coins in a circle without it being a triangle. I don't understand exactly. I don't know how to do it. I tried it. It says yeah.
Because the number 3
Yeah,
is the
but
minimum.
yeah. Okay, maybe it's a good answer. Maybe it's good. By 3, I don't know how you can do it. By 3, I don't know how you can do it. Okay, good. Okay, Pasha. So the answer was Pshat mi achadit. So the says, listen, each one of these I can solve. Darav Nachum Rabbi Rabua Kol Sheilu Machnis Law Case of Meneim. We learned if you can stick like a little stick under them. But note love and you lift them up at once, you have to announce it. And therefore, what if they're like a sulam? If they're like a ladder, one leading up to the other, like steps, you can lift them all. You can budge them all at once. By Rav Ashi had the following query. He said, "Avnei beis kulis. What about kulis was an avodah zarah? And if it was, let's say, it's like the stones of a kulis, we're going to see. Yeah. What if I'm now? The only reason why do we call it markulis? It's very interesting because kulis was the name of the avodah zarah. But one of the things, in fact, my Rebbe of blessed memory, he used to always do it on Purim. He didn't always. We did it on Purim. You're allowed to make fun of avodah zarah. You're allowed to mock. Avodah zarah. And I remember my Rebbe of blessed memory on Purim lighting the missionary literature on fire and dancing with it. And announcing that it's mutter to make fun of avodah zarah. So he obviously was machmer by Christianity. So not like the Mekilim. He was machmer. You can argue, but he was machmer by Christianity, definitely. But he said so the thing is, so you're allowed to make fun of avodah zarah. So the rabbis would called it the kulis. They call it markulis. What's lakalis? What's lakalis? What does lakalis mean? To praise something. So the goyim called the avodah zarah kilus. He said, the praise. They called it the praised thing. So the rabbis called it markulis, the opposite of praise. You understand? The opposite of praise. They mocked it. You understand? It's the opposite, the unpraised. You understand? So we called it the markulis. So okay, so now we want to see in a minute. So it was a certain way that they built the building. We'll see in 1 second. So Toshma, what if the coins are like that? So he says, Gemara says, I'll prove to you. The Tanya we learn, Matzamos befuzaros. Sorry to show up. The guy found scattered money that belongs to him. Kavle base kulis chayv lachmis. But if it's like the house of the Bonazar of kulis, he has to announce them. Why? Because that's a sign. What are the stones of the base kulis? Achas mekan, achas mekan. Achas again, one here, one there, and one on the top of them. The top one is half on this one and half on that one. Let's say a guy finds a coin in the marketplace, and then his friend from there, normally a coin is the thing you keep, and his friend found him, and he said to him, Shaliyu, he said, that's my coin, Chadashi, and I have a proof it because my sign is that it was a new coin. Okay, Neronisi, it had a picture of Nero on it, the Caesar. It says Shamel Plonihi, it has a picture of a certain king on it. Norma Klum, it's nothing. All these are not signs. And not only that, even if the guy's name is written on the coin, he wrote the name of the coin. Norma Klum, it's still nothing. Why? There are no signs of the coin. Since the coins are made to be expended, we say the guy spent it, and fell from somebody else. And no matter what, coins can never have a sign because they're made to be spent. So whatever sign you find on the coin is nothing. Why? Because what we say it's fell from somebody else. You used it. New Mishnah. No. We got to be careful over here. We're going to learn now. There's certain things you just have to leave them alone. Why? It's not lost. Leave the thing alone. Now, when a thing is absolutely in a guarded place, there's no question about it. You have to leave it alone. You understand? When a thing is absolutely in an unguarded place, it's lost. But there's a mid place, and that's these places. It says Matza Achar Gapa. You find it like behind the fence. Yeah, behind the fence. For example, a wooden fence or a reed fence. Achar Gader, or you found it, okay, or you found these things. We're going to tell you what, or behind a wall that's made out of stone. Or Gozes with Kusharim. What did he find? He found little birds that are tied. Now, little birds, remember, are they're hayutab, they're tied by the wings. We're going to see, so they shouldn't fly away. He says, so he found them in a place that's somewhat guarded, or he found them in the pathways of a field where people don't go. Don't touch them. Don't touch these things. Why? Because the guy didn't lose them. Okay. Matzah kliba ashpa. If a person found a utensil in the trash, okay. If it's covered up, so again he says lo yigabo, don't touch it. Somebody hid it there. Magula, but if it's revealed, okay, no tamachas. Then you take it out and you have to announce it. Why? Because somebody lost it. My timer. What's the reason? Yes, we did. My timer. What's the reason by the little birds? Okay, that you that you find behind the fence that you shouldn't touch them. Because we say, we said somebody hit it there. Be shocking. If you take it, you're gonna be stuck. Leslie the why do you leave it? Because he has no simon. Why is that? They should leave it there. Leave it there till the owner comes and takes it. You're going to mess the guy up. This guy didn't lose it. He left it there. And if you take it, he's not going to be able to prove it's his. Okay. What do you mean? What's the problem? Why can't he prove it? Levi Kesha Simona. Let the knot be a simon, a special type of knot is a sign. He said, no, but he didn't tie it with a rope. What happened was they had a way, incredible, they had a way of tying its wing to its own wing. They would tie the feathers of the wing to the feathers of the wing. They would connect the wing to the wing. They would tie the feathers of the wing to the wing. Okay, the kula alma, and everybody does it that way. So you can't say, well, I tied the wing to the wing, because everybody does it. So it's not a sign. Therefore, you leave it alone. Heavy Malcolm Simon. So what do you mean? What about according to Rava, who we learned earlier, who said what? Who said that a place is a sign? Let the place where the birds are, let that be his simon. And so you can leave. You can pick up and announce it. Maybe Amravuk Brahma says B'madin because the birds can hop around. He says even Madin said if they can hop around, so then why should you assume that it were put there B'yamat and then they came from someplace else? Even though the little baby birds only hop 50 amas, but they still came from someplace else. He says in Mutar, you'll be allowed to keep them. Some people say, okay, because I'll tell you why, because you could say that they came from someplace else. You're right. It's a doubt. It's doubtful if they came from someplace else or if somebody put it there. But it's at least a doubt whether it was put there purposely and it wasn't. He says, what? Anytime you have a doubt about whether something is placed purposely, you shouldn't take it. But if he takes it, he should not give it back. He give it back. Why? Because there's no sign. Because maybe it's not his, and has to wait. He has to just hold it forever until Eliyahu will come and tell us. Matzikli bashba. We learned if you found the utensil in the garbage, it was a garbage pile, right? If it's covered up, you shouldn't touch it. It's not lost, okay? On the megula, but if it's revealed, no tamasi, you should take it and you should announce it. It's lost. Minimum. We have a we learned the Brisa not like that. Matzakli told about we found if you find a utensil hidden in the garbage, no telemachlis, you take it and you announce it. Because it's normal for people to throw away, to remove the garbage pile. So and if you let, then some bad guy's going to get it, or a guy's going to get it. You should announce it. So we had contradiction. Our Mishnah said when it's covered, you should leave it alone. Now you said it's covered, you should announce it. Amrav Zabi Lakashi. He says, not the Lakasha. Is Habakubi Bakasi. He'll tell you what it is. Depends what was lost. If what it is if it was or if it was jugs and cups which are big, people don't usually throw them out. Oh, okay, with Sakidi, okay. So when we said what that you should leave it there, it's things that it's unlikely that the person just threw out inadvertently. He doesn't throw out big cups and jugs. Oh, but Sakidi when we said it in the Mishnah, okay, that you should announce it. It's talking about knives or what? Or hemnik. Hemnik is a utensil that scribes use. It's like a Y. It's sharp on both sides, and it's like a Y here in there. If you remember on Sukkot, when the top of your lulav is split, even if it's not split so much that the split leaf will disqualify it. If it's like a hemnik, if it goes out like this, you understand that it's not just that all of them are split like this, but it goes out like a Y. That's already not kosher. Some people a Y with a thing with a what's it called with the part the Y with the part on top like this. But anyway, that's the hemnik. So he says if it's a hemnik, he says which are little things that people throw out. He says those things you have to assume that the guy threw it out by mistake. Okay, so therefore what? Okay, okay, but these things that a person like to throw out, you announce it. But Papa Marva said, nah. No, both could be talking about it. Both the Mishnah and the Brisa could be talking about what? About big things like cups and utensils, cups and urns. But Lokash is still not a contradiction. Khan, it was clear. Okay, when we said what the Brisa said clearly, what it said. It's a garbage that we know the person's likely to throw out. That one was made to be thrown out. And by the Mishnah, it's talking about arbit that you're not going to throw out if we don't have to protect the guy. In both cases, the guy hid it there. But even if the guy hit it, if it's going to be thrown out, he's going to lose. So you should announce it. Ashbra Suyulafanas, when it's a garbage can be thrown out of Edi Midasi. Okay, that's a thing where what? Where I said, no, pardon me. Gosh, what are you talking about? How can you tell me that you should save the guy and you should announce this thing by garbage that's going to be thrown out? Edi Midasi, the guy threw it away himself. If he threw it to garbage and he knows they're going to take away, he's throwing it away. Well, you have to announce it. You make a mistake. When we said a garbage that's going to be thrown out, it's a garbage that originally was not going to be thrown out and now was decided. So the guy really wasn't an idiot. He hid it in the garbage thinking it's not going to be thrown out. Now he finds it's about to be thrown out. You should save him by announcing it before it gets thrown away and somebody's going to take it. What do you mean? It's in the show bulletin. It's in the Friday. It's how many times? How many weeks he gets? It says Chaim Yankel is throwing out his garbage pile that they used to keep. They put it in the bulletin. I never saw that. It's in our bulletin all the time. Bishlam Papa. I says, look, it all makes sense according to Papa. Papa says what? That the Brisa is talking about a garbage that wasn't going to be thrown out. All of a sudden was decided to throw out. That's why I said that's why it said it. The Brisa said because it's normal, because the Brisa is going to be thrown out. Rav Zabi, who says what? That the reason why you announce it is because it's only talking about small things. Since the reason is because it was small, why did the Brisa have to say because it's thrown out? Okay, there's okay. You have to say what? Okay, so you have to say no. You have to read it like this. Not that it's normal to throw out the garbage. It's normal for a guy to throw these things into the garbage. Throw these little things in. It's normal. This is going back and modifying. It's normal for these things to be thrown into the garbage inadvertently, and therefore you should say for the guy. Bosai, we'll call that a daf and a wonderful Purim. Not bad. What? What? I can't hear you. No, it's not being done to imitate. It's just describing a certain shape.